Hello. Well, I had a question from someone called Paul, and he said, I'm making a few items, I'd like to sell them online. How do I go about it? Well, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask or not. I will tell you my experiences of selling online, because I've done quite a lot of it now, and I think some of those experiences will be helpful. So I'll start off just mentioning about websites like Etsy and like Folksy, because they're both pretty good. If you're making a few, let's just say headscarves, something personal like that, or perhaps you've got a few framed prints or wooden bowls, then you can list them on the likes of Etsy or Folksy, and they don't charge you all that much commission. It's pretty good value. The website's all set up, and you can start selling pretty well immediately. So well worth it actually. Certainly recommend that as an approach. If you're in the UK, you can use Folksy. Etsy covers the whole world, so both have their pros and cons, frankly. I used Etsy for quite a long time, and I found it very good. I guess you might be saying, well, okay, but why have you left Etsy? Because I have left Etsy. Partly because I wanted to focus on a more bespoke website, partly because my product is one which I suppose is fairly niche, fairly going up market, and I wanted to differentiate it really for what it is. So that's why I've gone to now just the one selling channel, which is my main website. Again, going back perhaps and just thinking through, if you've got a few items and you want to try a website, and you perhaps have tried somewhere like Etsy or Folksy, then the next place I'd consider at least looking at are one of the lower cost websites. So again, I started with Ticktail. I thought it was pretty good. The drawback with those very often is you've got some limitations. It's either things like integration with Facebook or with Instagram, if you're trying to sell through those channels, and also search engine optimization won't be as good. So you sort of take a choice really, but if you're just testing the water and trying out a few items, then it's not a bad idea. I left Ticktail, I joined it when it was free. They then started charging. I found them very good actually, nice website, nice to use, fairly straightforward. I left them in the end because they started charging and the actual commission was quite high as well. So I actually worked it out. I had been put off Shopify because of the relatively high monthly cost, but actually if you're selling beyond a certain amount, it becomes more cost effective, and you do get a lot of benefits. You get a lot more features, you get better search engine optimization. But a lot of this, frankly, it's sort of down to what you personally are looking for. They're all pretty good. I certainly not knocking any of them. I think they're all pretty good, so you won't go wrong. If you just want to test the water, start out, I suggest you look at Etsy, you look at, if you're in the UK, you look at Folksy, and sort of have a look at those, decide whether they're right for you. If you want to start a bit smaller, go with something like the Ticktails of this world. And if you're going more for higher volume, or you aspire to go for higher volume, then go for the likes of Shopify. Or, again, I'm giving these brands, it's a bit like cars. There are lots of different brands you could go for. And frankly, they all have their pluses and minuses. So I'm not particularly endorsing, one over the other. I'm just sort of trying to give you a few pointers to consider. So that's the sort of, if you like, the sales channel, but there's a lot more to selling online. And it's worth having a bit of a think really before you dip your toe in that particular water. Now, one of the things I'd say is do consider if you want to actually go down the route of online selling, because it is quite a lot of work, and you do need to sort of be on call to answer your customer queries quickly. So it's no point just sort of thinking, oh well, I can sort of lob a few products up on the web and start selling them. It's not really the way it works. Once you put a few items up for sale, if you're going to be doing a good job, you've got to be responsive to people's inquiries. You've got to be able to answer them quickly and help people out. You've got to be ready for mailing. You need to know and set your prices effectively so you can actually sell things. You need to have stockroom space. You need to keep control of your stock. You need to think about packaging and printing up boxes and all those sorts of things. You need to have all of that sort of thought through and planned out. Now, I think most people enter the sort of craft selling or small scale selling probably, and it's probably just as well, probably a little bit blind to some of the things you have to consider. But I would say do have a think about, have you got the time, have you got the space to store, you know, goods, and are you going to be able to provide a good service? Because if you got doubts on any of those, I would hesitate a little bit about going into online selling, and perhaps you're better just doing the odd craft fair or something instead. So those are, if you like, a few of my general thoughts. I don't think there's any rights or wrongs in this. I just really wanted to pop this film up to answer Paul's query and to tell you a little bit about my own personal experiences with selling online. Generally, I think it's great because it does mean if you're a small maker, you can get your products out there in the marketplace, and it's a wonderful way of being able to sell what you're making. I think perhaps as a closing sort of thought, I would give some thought to how you're going to get people to your website. So what I mean by that is, I guess quite a lot of my traffic comes via YouTube. Now I'm with a website provider that does search engine optimization. I can also, you know, have myself found on Google more easily. But that is something that it is worth having a think about when you go down this particular route. So do think about how you're going to get traffic. Are you going to use social media or something else to draw your customers to your channel? To your sales channel, I should say. So give that some thought as well. And I guess in a way that's another reason why I'd say if you wanted to start out, I would consider going with the likes of Etsy and Folksy, because you'll get quite a good bit of sort of footfall, for want of a better word, if you go with those sorts of providers rather than a standalone website which may not get traffic coming to it. So there you are. I think have a look around, see what others are doing, look at a few other YouTube videos, get some thoughts from other people, but there are a few, if you like, of my thoughts just to get the ball rolling. And just in case you're wondering where I'm at the Weald and Downland Museum. Been running leather courses here, lovely place. Been meeting some lovely people, and it's lovely. It's evening, I'm camping here, and I'm able to walk around and see these fantastic buildings. I have popped some films up on some of the buildings here, on Pendine Farmhouse, Bailey Farmhouse, Tyndall's Cottage. So there are more on the channel if you'd like to know a bit more about some of the buildings. It's lovely, all the birds are cheeping. Sheep make a lot of noise at night, keeping me awake, but it's been great. Okay, hope that's helpful. See you next time. Bye bye.